You guys, I figured it out again. And this is about to blow your mind. Now, before I go into this rabbit hole, have to give credit when credit is due. Rashad Jamal said that Caucasians came from a portal into our world, right? Now, we have to understand that he might have been correct and that they were really hiding history because history is his story. Now, the guy behind me, John Ronald Ruel Tolkien, or you know him as J.R.R. Tolkien, was a master scholar who wrote The Lord of the Rings. Now, we all know that they hide truth in fiction. I believe that J.R.R. was trying to tell us the truth, but he did it in an imagery that in some circles was disliked, even though his books and his writings were wildly popular. And so The Lord of the Rings is basically like a secret fire where it talks about God originating the spirit, right, that stirs in the children of his children, right, to be able to build and create and be able to become closer to the Most High. And so his books put these obstacles in place so that the protagonist can grow and etc. But what makes this important is the fact that students of Freemasonry would not be unjustified in recalling at the same threads of imagery with Masonic traditions. This would mean that J.R.R. Tolkien's his book of The Lord of the Rings is parallel with Masonic traditions. And they say that Freemasons hold the real truth, and for you to get that truth, you have to be a part of their group. And it would make sense if they have the hidden true history and hiding it from the rest of the world. This would make sense. And so J.R.R. Tolkien is kind of exposing the realities of our real reality through imagery. In the beginning of Lord of the Rings, if you ever seen the movie, I highly go recommend it. It talks about how the age of exploration around a certain time happened where white men traveled exploring the world in the quest for power. And so we would have to know that these stories are about Middle Earth and about creatures and about beings that come from inner Earth that are interacting with humans. So now, if this is the human realm, inside of this ice wall, you have our continents, which is all one, by the way, and not separated by water. Middle Earth would be anything outside of this ring. Hence the realm of the Titans, right? Where J.R. Tolkien is telling us that these behemoth creatures swim in these waters. Now, history is starting to prove that Caucasians started their existence after the 1500s, right? But before then, everything in this continent was considered black. And up until that point, between the late 1400s, early 1500s, no one in this landmass has ever seen a Caucasian or a white person. And I'm not talking albino because that is still a black person. Now, if God saved his lineage with the flood, right? Because they were making hybrid animals and damning the world, right? If he saved his lineage by flooding it and disposing of the hybrid land animals and all of the animal hybrids that were of the water, that water that dumped here pushed those animals out past this ring. And hence why the realm of the Titans is out in these deep waters, is because the flood pushed those animals, and now we are around the barrier of the circumcision of the ice, which controls the currents in our world. And so Lord of the Rings talks about the age of exploration, where these men on the Middle Earth outside are invading God's people. I believe these people that's organic to this realm are the Atlanteans, because after the flood, God saved his people. And all of these people are organic and they thrive off the sun, right? Caucasians are the only race that the sun impacts them negatively, making it be known that they aren't natural to this ring inside of our world. Because everything that came organic here is shown that they have capabilities to coexist with the sun. So the fact that they don't, and the fact that J.R.R. Tolkien is talking about them exploring the new world from Middle Earth. If Middle Earth is outside and they talk about the portals, I give you an example. They talk about the dwarves, the elves. These people hold ancient knowledge where they can augment weapons, right? And turn them stronger. And they just know magic and they know sorcery and stuff, so they can augment and use their form of technology to create things that people have never seen on this side. Case in point, cloning. Case in point, the Lord of the Rings had what? Their enemies were cloning their people to go against the protagonists. That's where these armies were coming from. These armies were coming from Middle Earth. And so they gathered up to fight all of these people, all of these, evil people that come from Middle Earth. And so when you think about it, this age of exploration, when Caucasians started popping up in our world, they came through ships through here. They had this higher level technology because they're on the outer realms. And the Lord of the Rings explains this. And so now you're looking at these outsiders that came into the realm of God's people. This is why God said to separate from them. This is why God said to not procreate with them. It's because they were created and cloned outside of God's commandment, outside of God's covenant. Because when he brought up his lineage with the flood, right? Those who were destroyed or pushed outward, right, found a way to get back in. And when they found a way to get back in, right, it was black people, right? And I'm pretty sure when they came through, on this side, when they came through on this side, right, Europe is here, would be here, just right above Africa. So this is probably why the Europeans still have a hold on the world today through the Vatican, is because those Caucasians on the outer walls probably stopped there first and probably tricked those black Europeans in that area to go against their own people for their technology and power. And Satan found a way to get in because the genetics of Caucasians is not of God. And the Lord of the Rings shines a light on this because these stories are from Freemasonry origins.